Hello. Um, are we connected? Uh, yes, we are. So listen, I want to tell you a story, a little bit of a story, and I've got like a concept. I want to talk to you about something a little deeper than maybe we've talked about before. Hi, Barry. Um, so I was chatting with a lady this morning on the internet and about what she does and about what I do, and sometimes it's hey Les, sometimes it's hard to actually say, what do I do, and so she'd come on my channel on LinkedIn and she said, "What's Project Awakening?" I said, "It's a good question." And I started by saying, I teach meditation and consciousness and presence. And after 40 years of looking outside, I found awakening inside. I told her I work a lot with addictions. And she says, "In my company?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "I work with people who want more out of their careers and out of life. It's about becoming a peak performer because they're just ordinary people who decided one day to do something great. And they did it, and just doing more and more." Okay, great. So she's about helping people do. And then she said, "What do you want to accomplish?" And it was great. I just loved the question. And I said, "Well, thanks. I'm doing it, helping people as much as she does. If lifting people out of mediocrity is in some way the goal, doing it through accomplishment is not enough." And so here's my point. What we do in life, we climb to the top of the corporate ladder, or, we travel the world, we climb Mount Everest. I have a buddy I spent time with. He's climbed Mount Everest, I think, twice. And it's really not that big a deal. It doesn't fill us up. It's not what fills us up. And that's the thing. So I said, doing it through accomplishment is not enough. I get it. We live in a world where we judge ourselves and others by what we do or have, or what we have done. I'm helping people discover who they are. Then what they do or have becomes secondary. The question is then, who are you? What's awakening? And so that was she said, insightful. Because often we're told told what we're good at. We're told what we should be doing with our lives by our parents and teachers. Well, that's a fact. Many of us have gone into careers because somebody said you should do this. You should be an engineer or a lawyer or whatever. And mostly all of our direction is about doing. And after a lifetime of doing, I finally figured out, because this whole lifetime for me of doing was me looking for this something that seemed to be missing. And so what was it that was missing? The world had told me that what was missing was more accomplishment, more success, that I needed to have more success to be complete. And so I was mixing this struggle to be more successful with also this looking for what really did feel it was missing inside. And a spiritual journey. And I'm so grateful that I got steered, directed towards a spiritual journey because of my alcoholism and addiction. And so I didn't have a choice. I didn't wake up one day and say, "Oh, gee, I think I'm going to go on a spiritual quest." I really had to because I had fallen into a pretty dark space. So so she said the teachers and drive her and parents drive us to a certain direction, and she said because she says she wanted to change all that, which was cool. I said, yes, what we do and what we have is not who we are, right? You get that? What you do, what you have, big house, no house, money in the bank, no money in the bank, doesn't determine who we are. And it took me so long. I had friends, one of my best buddies used to say all the time, "David, you are not your business." And I really struggled with it. And because I kind of thought I was, whatever business I had been in, I really identified with the business, and I had to lose it to really wake up. I had to just, really lose it to say, okay, I'm not my business. So what about you? Is what you're doing who you are? We identify with, being a parent. Well, yes, of course, in a way, we can call you a parent, and that's who you are. But the kids grow up, baby, and they're gone. And we're like, oh my, well, who am I now? So if we're always identified with outside, what we do, our experiences, the next big trip, then we're kind of avoiding the journey inside. And anyway, I said, yes, what we do and what we have is not who we are. Even our relationships are not who we are. It's all stuff. Looking past the stuff is not for the faint of heart, I told her. Definitely. Are you finding that people are more open to this? The bottom line is making a firm decision to stop hurting ourselves. So she thinks it happens by making a decision. And I don't. I think that, decision isn't, we can make a decision and nothing happens without action. So a firm decision, I made a lot of firm decisions. I still wake up in the morning making firm decisions and stuff that doesn't get done. But when I learned to live more in the moment, more connected, imagine there is a universal intelligence. Imagine that we're actually part of that universal intelligence, but we've been brainwashed to follow a script. Are you on a script? Just think about it for a minute. And, we get a education and we go into a job, and maybe now 50 years ago a person would have a job for their whole lives, but we move around, but it's still a script. We get married, we have children, and it's not a bad script. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's some of us who are like, shit, the script's not working for me. Is there something more? So to find and follow your true essence, to find and follow your true essence, and be conscious, and this takes practice, this takes work, to be conscious of when we're stuck in our old belief systems, when we're doing stuff out of our unconsciousness, and I'm not telling you that I've mastered all this. I have moments where I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing, because I realize that I've been in a dream. I've been trying to accomplish things the way I thought I was supposed to, the way I was conditioned to be, to believe. And so she said, firm decision to stop hurting ourselves. Interesting. I said, often only the desperate are open to letting go of the illusion. And I believe that's true. And that's why sometimes people who have, illnesses, cancer, alcoholism, addiction, really make big progress into connecting with that disconnection that we have with the universal intelligence. So imagine that, you set the intention to be connected. I listened to a lady speak the other day, and she said, ABC, always be connected. So we set the intention. It becomes just part of our daily plan, in our prayer, in our meditation. If we're not meditating, it's hard to make that connection. But to be connected, and we start to feel that connection, then we can live in that connection. And then life, we can still do whatever we want to do on the planet, but we're doing it from a different place. We're following a different voice. We're connected to a universal intelligence that maybe has, I'm not talking about a God that, could be angry or happy or have emotion around us. I'm talking about a universal intelligence that seems to guide us. That there's no reason why we shouldn't be happy, joyous, and free all the time. And no striving at all. Just settle and let things fall, and then we can pick them up again in a different way. Anyway, I said to her, she said, stop hurting ourselves. I said, often only the desperate are open to letting go of the illusion. And you have to see it as an illusion to want to let it go, to realize that we've been programmed and we've been following our programming. And that peace and love can be attained from outsiders. The illusion that peace and love can be attained from outside of ourselves. Firm decisions don't often work. I said, many of us have wasted precious time thinking we can will our way into awakening. She said, the thing about decisions is that decisions have to be made every day until that becomes a habit. So she believes that with programming, if the programming is really strong, we can make the right decisions from our ego. And I'm saying that after all these years, that making the right decisions from my ego always comes from fear. My ego always comes from fear. And when we're connected to love, when we're connected to universal intelligence, then we can follow the love, and we can actually say, instead of what would God do, what would love do? And we can be moving forward with love. But she's very firm in her idea that she can make the right decisions. And I think that that's the illusion. I said, how is that working for you? Every day she said she has the habit of making the right decisions. How's that working for you? And she went off on a long tangent about, it. But it's hard when you're in the illusion not to imagine that we can't, not to see until you get defeated somewhat, that it isn't about us making the right decisions, having the goals to accomplish stuff. At the end of the day, when it's all over, what we got, the stuff we have, isn't what fills us up. It's really how were we with people? How kind were we? How did we love? But again, not from a place of habit, not from a place of shoulds, a good moral conduct code, not from a code, but from a connecting. If we're connected to love, if we're connected to our higher self on a regular basis through meditation, through asking, through prayer, if we're connected, we'll always be there in love. And when we're not, we'll recognize that it's the human experience that sometimes we're growing. Don't be too hard on yourself. It's a very persistent illusion we live in. Everything outside of us says that we need to accomplish, and accomplishment is not the ticket. It doesn't. Accomplishment. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a beautiful thing. Hi, Linda. Thanks for dropping in. It's a beautiful thing to accomplish and have an amazing life of accomplishments, but it won't fill us up. What fills us up is love. Fills us up is the connection to the universal intelligence. And there's lots of practices, chants, and all kinds of beautiful things that help us to enhance that connection, to open that channel. So I encourage you, when we're thinking that it's, being with the right people, or being at the right party, or being in the right car, living in the right neighborhood, all of that thing, that's going to bring us that peace that really passes all understanding, that isn't really describable. It doesn't work. It didn't work for me. And, all the teachings that I read says the same. So anyway, that's my thought for the day. And anybody has any comments on that, I'd love to hear them. And just thinking, it's a paradigm shift for a lot of people. Just a quick thing. I went to a luncheon today, a business luncheon, like where I get invited as a guest to go and say a few words, where people are there, all exchanging business cards, and it's, it's all about accomplishment, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what floats the boat, I guess, to a certain degree. But if some of you are watching this, you're likely the type of person who wants more, really wants to have that peace and that contentment, and you realize that it isn't in relationship, it isn't in what we have, it isn't in, how many trips we take, or the clothes we buy, or it isn't on the outside. It can only be found inside. All right. Thanks. I love you guys. And thanks for watching and just letting me share this stuff. I mean, when I get to do this, I get lifted up, and really do. And I'm so grateful for my community. And We're, by the way, this weekend, there is the practical. We do have to, I mean, there's the practical of paying the bills. I have a whole bunch of stuff left from my Bali store, and this Saturday and Sunday we're gonna, we're almost giving some of it away. We're not really giving away, but very close. Lots of gift ideas and stuff. Anyway, love you, love you, love you. Thanks. Cheers. Bye. Thanks for dropping in. Bye.